is the Continental Lover, Eddie Mansfield, 230 pounds of twisted steel and Texas people. You're listening to the Working Man Podcast, brother. If you don't like it, just leave it alone.
All right, everybody, it's the Working Fans Podcast with the man they call Dave. And today I got a special guest, guy who made his name for himself in the territory days back in the 70s and 80s. He's worked with the likes of the Guerreros, Ox Baker, Jimmy Snuka. He's also known for an interview he did on 2020 that we've probably all seen a million times. He's also got a production company and is doing very well for himself these days. We're going to talk to him. The Continental Lover, Eddie Mansfield. Eddie, how are you, sir?
I couldn't be better, brother. I'm doing well. Doing fine, staying healthy. Hope all the fans listening are staying healthy and doing what they need to do. Yeah, you forgot one guy, Scott Casey.
Scott, oh, yes.
Me and the Cowboy set records drawing in the great state of Texas. You know, I kind of rocked the wrestling world when I did, when they blackballed me, that Ole Anderson son of a bitch. But, you know something, when they take the food off your plate, you got to stand your damn ground. And in the wrestling business, they have no benefits, no nothing. But it's a $1 billion industry. And you wonder why, they can't furnish, health care and a 401k for yourself. I did a podcast with that damn Bully Ray, son of a gun. Let me tell you, Bully Ray told me he was prepared. He's so full of shit as a Christmas turkey. Let me tell you something. When you go in the wrestling business, you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But the bottom line is, it doesn't take care of the people that make it the money. He can get his chapstick out and do all what he wants to do. But I don't have any chapstick, and it really doesn't. I don't really care what they think because I've moved past that. I had the third largest wrestling federation with the IWF. First guy to ever soundstage professional wrestling at Universal Studios. I had an actual production deal with Universal for almost 14 years. And that's besides the wrestling. Universal, took real good care of me. I have nothing to say but greatness for all the great people down at Universal. They were really good to me. But everybody else, they didn't get what the IWF had. We had RVD. I created the smoking gun. And, we had, Thunder and Lightning. We had a lot of great people.
Oh, yeah.
I created Kevin Kelly. I took him and put his little ass right next to the ring. And while I was training guys, how to actually work. See, there's two ways to work in this business. It's all TV now. But back in the 90s, we still had to do TV and house shows. And now it's mainly all, television instead of house shows. But there's a way to work TV and there's a way to work a house show. And most of the guys today, they don't really know the difference because they've never been taught. And you can't blame someone when they're not taught. They just kind of thrown in and think they need to know. Well, that comes from upper management. You need to teach the guys the right way. Well, when I was working, let me tell you something. They wouldn't let you in a ring if you didn't know how to work. It's just I always say give the guys, the benefit of the doubt, the young guys coming up now. Because, the guys are good. The business is strong. And I think that it's going to be just fine. The rest of the business will survive. Anything, believe me, it won't hurt it. I was vindicated. I tapped Vince McMahon's ass out, didn't I? The bottom line is, Dave, he came out and said he made me look pretty smart after 2020 because he came out and said the exact same thing that I said on 2020.
Well, 100%. And I wanted to say, too, it's funny, everybody made a big deal out of this, but here we are doing a podcast interview, years later. If you had done that 2020 thing, I don't know, let's say in the 90s, maybe later, I don't know if it would have been as big a deal to everybody else. I don't know if there would have been such outrage about it.
Well, there was an outrage, all right.
Oh, there was?
I gave them the highest rated show they ever had.
I'm still talking about it.
Yeah, everybody still talk about Eddie Mansfield.
Right.
You'd swear I'm still working. But you don't ever see me do autograph sessions. You don't ever see me do. I did one autograph sign, and that was in Atlanta because they paid me. Greg Price, you can say what you want about Greg Price. He paid me, and he paid me well to show up because I don't care about signing autographs. You understand? I'm not going to show up unless you got the money because I don't need you. I'm kind of like RVD, who used to work with me. If you're not going to pay me, I'm not showing up. And I told him that years ago. Rob Van Dam's probably one of the best workers that's ever been in the business.
Oh, no doubt. Still going strong. And also, I would say, too, kind of smart. He's always had his head in other, things, too. He's always kind of had a little bit of this and a little bit of that going on besides wrestling if needed.
Yeah, well, he's a smart guy. And one thing about RVD, I'm proud of him. He came out of the IWF, and he went on to superstardom. I told Rob, first time I ever saw him, I said, man, you're going to be a star in this business. I'm a superstar. He was my first television champion with the IWF, RVD. When you look at where, he started at Universal, and that's a pretty damn good place to start, And, he used to do vignettes with Marilyn Monroe and people like that. That most people, they don't have shows we had. They didn't have access. None of the other, whether it was WCW who followed me, that was after they got kicked out of Disney. Yeah, my buddy Tom Kennington told me, he says, I don't think these some bitches are going to last for very long over here. And because Disney has strict rules.
Right.
And Universal has rules. Let me tell you something. Every one of my guys with the IWF, and that includes Skip Sock, Billy Ass, whatever they call him now,
yeah,
they followed the rules. And I created Kip. He wouldn't beat shit without me. And, I don't walk around saying that. I say that very, very rarely. But I taught him how to work. He didn't know how to work. He knew how to do clotheslines and elbows. That's all they knew. And see, that's what the business is back to now. Instead of really working, calling a match in the ring, they go over a match. I went to an independent show one time to see a friend of mine. He called me up, would you please come? I said, well, I really don't do this crap. You need to understand that. So I went to see him. I couldn't believe these guys sat there and went over a match for 30 damn minutes, and they were only going 10. and we used to get the finish. We never talked. You always did it in the ring, and that's a lost art. I think AEW is really going to give fits to Vince. I'm proud of Cody and Dustin and those guys because they're trying to do it the right way and bring the business back to where it used to be. There's boys. They're all vanilla-looking guys. That's what's missing. Well, all right, let me throw some names out to you. You're a wrestling guy.
Oh, yeah.
What would you think if a damn Wahoo McDaniel showed up on the scene right now?
Oh, Wahoo is just fucking tough as nails guy. I think we're missing guys like that, too. You're right. Everybody looks the same. Everybody looks vanilla. There's not, some grizzled-looking men, the tough guys, even some fat guys, some skinny, whatever. We just have all guys that look like they kind of came out of a fitness gym.
Professional wrestling used to be the face of America. It had fat guys. It had tough guys. It had, Indians, cowboys, plumbers, working men. We had it all. And you had a continental lover. With bleach blonde hair. Ric Flair wasn't the first son of a bitch to ever have bleach blonde hair.
No, sir.
Gorgeous George started all that. So when you look at, when I was in Los Angeles and drew all that money with Chavo Guerrero, they say I never drew money. Everywhere I went, I drew money. And there's one thing they cannot knock that. They can try. When I did Viceland, I don't know if you saw that piece.
I did, yep.
But that was the second highest rated show they had. Okay, the first one, I didn't kill anybody.
Right.
Chris Benoit killed his whole damn family. And I knew Nancy, from Kevin Sullivan.
Oh, right.
But anyway, Kevin wouldn't open his mouth on that deal, and he should have stood his ground. He should have done the interview, and he just washed his hands of it. And so, but then you had the Ricky Morton. Now Ricky Morton's probably 5'7" or 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had that Dutch Mantel, that ass kisser from Tennessee, who never drew any money anywhere, and how he got into WWE. He kissed Jarrett's ass, and Jarrett, the old man, got him in up there. He didn't last long, did he?
Nah, he was a cup of coffee.
Yeah, buddy. No, he The damn coffee wasn't even hot. You know? I mean, his old tired ass, he worked so fast. You know, he hung out in Memphis his whole career because he wasn't worth crap. He couldn't come to like Southwest Championship Wrestling like me and Scott Casey did. Started off, me and Wahoo McDaniel, Alvin Putski, and guys like us. We popped that place, me and Scott Casey. We were selling out everywhere, and that's because of Wahoo McDaniel. He was a booker, and me and Wahoo, we would set that thing up. Tully Blanchard didn't ever draw any money in Southwest. Even with, I'm the guy who told Wahoo to tag Tully and Gino together. That way, me and Scott Casey had a top spot. That way, Wahoo and Putski could work with them. Him and Chavo could work with them. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to be smart in the business as well. You can't be stupid. You know, you go into the locker room these days, you see guys who actually believe that they're beating people to get these belts. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I just saw something. I think it was Al Snow or somebody was talking about, like, somebody made a comment once, like, you know, they say who you ever beat, and he goes, well, the same people you beat, nobody. He's like, we know who's going to win beforehand. And he was saying sometimes some of the wrestlers would give enhancement guys more, like $100 or something, because to show, like, thankful for doing the favors.
And you know something, those guys should be paid more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I used to call them, you know, not job guys, they're star makers.
Right.
Without those guys laying down for you, and a lot of those guys could whoop other people's guys' ass.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so those guys, a lot of those guys, they got jobs because they were vanilla looking like these bastards today.
And the funny, yeah, I was gonna say, and the funny thing is too, I've had some of these guys on the podcast, and some of these guys are like the best talkers. You would never know it, but they didn't get the mic time. But then you get them on here, and they can talk up a storm.
Well, that's one thing I could do is talk, man. You know,
I hear you.
It's like, the bottom line is I could draw a crowd.
I want to ask you that.
You know,
were you always a good talker? Like even before wrestling? Was this something natural? Yeah.
Yeah, I was always a good talker. You hand me that microphone, buddy, I'll light your ass up. And you either got it or you didn't have it. One of my guys, I'm not going to ever call his name,
okay,
but he was one of the Dynamite Express for me. Let me tell you, when I was teaching these guys how to talk on television, and there's an art to that, I was teaching my guys in the IWF, you know, how to do promos, literally. And Bill Lawton, you know Bill Lawton, he's a famous photographer.
Yep.
And he brought his camera down, video camera, and I was having all the guys, you know, I'd have Kevin Kelly interview them, where they get used to being on television. Because, you know, all of my IWF guys never was on television, had never done any interviews. And I told them all I do the Dynamite Express. He got that camera scared his ass so bad, he had to go back and throw up. And that's a true story.
Wow.
I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to tell you which one it was, because I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But he came along. But he finally, I used to have to tell those guys. I said, look, you got to look at the top of that lens, and you got to look at that camera like that's your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking to hundreds and millions of people each week. And I said, you got to make that camera your best friend.
Did you love?
That's what a lot of guys don't do. Huh?
Did you love being a heel? I feel like you must have really loved being a heel. I can see this.
Well, hell, man, that's all I was. My whole career was a heel.
Right.
You know, I thought this son of a bitch told me one time. He said, "Man," he said, "boy, you can piss somebody off in our crew." I said, "Well, they used to pay me big money to do that." I said, you think I give a shit if this guy doesn't like me or not? He didn't hurt my feelings.
Right.
You know, I rose to the top in the entertainment business. Because I take no damn prisoners. You know what I mean? I take no prisoners.
Yeah, I was looking at that. You have a very successful production company, a lot of TV shows, Mansfield Productions. How did you come across doing that? What happened there?
Well, when I got out of wrestling, I went to New York. And I was broken in the television business by really the true Mr. Monday Night was Rune Arledge. And from Monday Night Football and White Roller Sports and many other things, you know. And he broke me into business. And he taught me the right way. And, you know, for your listeners, I'm going to tell you a business terminology that Arledge taught me years ago. If a deal feels bad, it is bad. Get up, shake the guy's hand, and leave. walk out the door. But you got to have the cojones to stand up and lead. Because if the deal really sucks, 99.9% of the time it does suck.
Right. That's good advice.
If you've ever learned anything from Eddie Mansfield, believe me, do that. And you'll be more successful than if you sat there and took a shitty deal and make somebody else rich.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you too, before we got out of this too, was you were like obviously a really good heel. What was some of like the best territories, like in terms of like crowd reaction, where you felt like people might want to kill you, like like where you're like, okay, like was Texas, Florida?
I was stabbed 7 times.
Fuck.
So yeah, and I think 3 or 4 of them were like 300 pounds. I thought it was a guy. So I caught that fat so and so. On the chin, boy, her little fat ass went slid right on the floor up against the bleachers. Bam! I was gonna go put the boots on. I looked at it as a girl. I said, "Oh my god!" And so I had to go in. They had commissioners back then, so we'd have doctors, and I had to get a tetanus shot. So I had a bunch of them, man. And I got stabbed 3 times when I was the America's heavyweight champion out in L.A. I got stabbed. When I they tried to get me, they got me, and I had 6 cops around me. They stabbed me in the belt, the leather belt, that held the championship. So I couldn't believe it, but they actually did that.
I can see why you wouldn't miss wrestling.
Well, you got when you provoke people, like I used to get some serious heat.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could get heat with just a normal guy right off the street, I could damn sure crank it up a notch and get real heat. And that's what I used to do, from talking about, tortillas, talking about the Mexicans and stuff like that. And it's like, dancing around a sombrero, doing the cucaracha. And so it's like stuff like that kind of fires them up,
Right.
And, like we had a lot of, Spanish people that came to L.A., and we had a lot of great crowds in Los Angeles, the Olympic Auditorium. I mean, that was a hell of a building, man, for wrestling. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, we had Dr. Tom on, and he was telling a lot about his stories and stuff like that, too, breaking in around that time. Seems like it was a very underrated territory.
Los Angeles was a great territory, man.
Yeah.
And I used to do the Cow Palace once a month, and then a couple of times I'd work for, Bassine was running some towns, and me and Salvo and Leroy Brown would go up there and sell them out. Like Modesto, Fresno, there's another town up here, northern Florida, Sacramento, and we'd sell them out. Cats coming right off the Cow Palace. We'd go up and do the Cow Palace once a month, with Roy Shire, do a couple dates, and then go right back in and do, Olympic, and, it was easy. Man, I was on the beach every day.
Nice.
Out and on the beach. I lived right on Santa Monica Beach. It was great. I rented a place from Joe Gold. Man, he was a great guy. We used to play volleyball against Chuck Barrett and Vern Langdon from the Gong Show. Remember them?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Chuck Barrett, man, he impressed me a lot. He used to have 12 different girls every day.
This was a wild time in the wrestling industry, huh?
Hey, he was in the right industry, though.
Yeah.
He had that Gong Show going. He was hot, man. He used to go to big parties up in Hollywood Hills and stuff. Oh, mercy, Daddy. You have no idea.
Let me ask you, before I get you, I'm going to do a little word association. I'm just going to do like 2 names instead of, throw a lot at you because they do this all the time. I just want to throw a couple names at you. Vince McMahon. Let's just start off with.
Personally, what I think about Vince, I admire him as a businessman.
Yeah.
I think what he accomplished in the world of professional wrestling will never be seen again. How he went about it. From the first WrestleMania all the way to this one now in a COVID world, and survived. I don't know him personally. I knew his dad a little bit, not much. But as a businessman, I admire him for what he's accomplished. It's just amazing. And my hat's off to Vince McMahon. I hope he stays healthy and keeps going strong.
2 guys, I'll mention them both at the same time then, just because they're part of that famous piece. David Schultz, and I don't know if you had a lot of experience with David, but David and John Stossel. What are your impressions of them years later?
Oh, wow. Well, David, David's a friend of mine and always will be. David really taught me a lot when I was, a young kid breaking into business. And, he can say what he wants to do. He says shit on a microphone, when he's got one about me, but then he'll call right behind me, and tell me, oh, Ed, I just got to make it look good, and that's the old timer in him. That's all.
Yeah.
And David, I think the world of, and, his whole family. I've known him since I was 19 years old. That's a long time. David got the host job, man, because I told, and I hate to mention John Stossel in the same way that I mentioned with David.
Yeah.
Because I have absolutely no respect for John Stossel and the hatchet job he did on me and the hatchet job he did on David Schultz and the hatchet job he did on the rest of the business. Because I'm going to say this until the day I die, and I want to make this the last time I really say this shit. Somebody ought to get this. That they host me. When I went to do 2020, they were supposed to take the business, and I told them back then it was $1 billion industry. And they were going to compare it with the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and the National Hockey League. And the way they take care of their players versus the way they take care of professional wrestlers who are professionals. You notice it says professional wrestling, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And professional wrestlers are great athletes, so they need to be treated with respect as athletes. But John Stossel made it a damn egomaniac story about him getting slapped.
Right.
And boy, let me tell you something. And I told you, if you that's scripts, I told him not to interview David because David had nothing to do with this. And Vince McMahon was trying to get rid of David, and I knew that. And Vince told him to slap John. And he really wouldn't have had to tell him. He would have slapped him anyway.
Right.
And so the bottom line is John Stossel got his comeuppance, but how come he doesn't pay us $298,000?
Right.
And slapped harder. Let me tell you something. I got slapped harder many than John Stossel ever got hit. And they didn't pay me no $290,000 for getting slapped.
I think it says a lot about John Stossel that you can watch a documentary. A guy twice his size slapped him in the face, and the guy that slapped him in the face was essentially the baby face to all of us. So I think that says a lot about John Stossel right there.
Well, I people that don't like me, and they like me, I don't know why. I haven't ever done anything, and I don't know. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
But they compare me and John Stossel.
Oh.
The people that look at Pete Snow is an ego piece. It's a meat piece on John Stossel. And I told John Stossel the same one time in New York. I said, John,
Oh, I think you broke up there. Oh, there you go.
You were nothing but a little bitty old finance reporter until you latched on to mine and threw me under the bus. Oh, I went to the president of ABC, and I told them if they didn't back off the David Schultz.
I think you broke up there, little Eddie.
That was in the 80s. And I told them, I said, I was going to call a press conference, at 4 o'clock that afternoon if they didn't leave David Schultz alone. Drop the suit against him and all that. And I was going to tell them the real truth about their story. The way they treated me and the way they set everybody up. That's what he did. He set me up. He set David up. He set the whole wrestling business up.
Thank you for doing this. Is there anything you want to tell people, like what you're doing now and promote anything?
I have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I'm in the midst of doing 3 television series, back to back to back. I'm doing a Christmas special at the end of August, which is really cool. It's going to be really a good one. And then I have two series to do right after that. So, and I can't tell you the names of those now,
right?
Until they're released. I'll come back on your podcast and give you the skinny after I shoot them.
Oh, awesome.
I got to kind of kayfabe them damn things, or I'll lose my job.
No, I understand that. Yeah, it's a different animal.
Well, yeah, I'm in the thieving business. They'll still. I sit down with these guys sometimes in the entertainment business. I laugh because I swim with the biggest sharks in the world, and they try to get over on me, and I just laugh at them.
Yeah,
Because it's funny. I mean, it's funny. You know, like, because I've been in the ring with the best. I've been in the opposites with the best. I've seen them all.
Yeah, these guys aren't bringing nothing new to the table. You probably haven't seen it all in your business.
Yeah, you're not gonna run no. I just look right at him. I said, man, I swim a lot bigger sharks than you. You know, if you don't want to get do the right deal, we just won't do a deal at all.
Right, walk away.
But that's the way you got to look. You know, you got to look at life. You know, this is no dress rehearsal I'm in. You know, I'm not gonna come back. You know, from the dead. Once I'm dead, I'm gone. So I'm gonna make the best of it while I'm here. And I enjoy life. I love people, and I love being around people. This COVID's just, you know, it's really tough on the nation. I just hope, you know, all the politics aside, you know, there's politics and everything. It's just sad that it's hurting our nation like it is. You know, people need to, you know, love other people a little bit more. Don't think you're some kind of damn tough guy because you can run a computer, because you're really not. You know, you're just another asshole out there that thinks he's tough, you know, with a computer.
Keyboard warrior.
That's all they are, man.
Yeah.
Because if you grab them by the nape of the neck, they're going to squeal like a little girl, you know. So it's like, there's no big thing, you know.
Well, Eddie, you're absolutely a blast to listen to, man. I think you could have done this interview by yourself, but I'm happy you did it on my show anyway. Thank you so much, man.
Well, you know, Dave, there's one thing about the wrestling business. You can either talk or you can't talk. And I got thousands of stories. Like I could keep you busy for the rest of the day. But I'm just, you know, I'm honored that you invited me on the show. And anytime you need Eddie Mansfield, just give me a buzz.
Will do.
And if I'm available, I'll be there.
Awesome.
And because I'm a working man. You know, I'm producing my ass off, and I really love this. Always remember this. I'm gonna leave this with your wrestling fan.
Okay.
I didn't quit the wrestling business. It quit me. So, but hey, I'm enjoying producing, and I'm enjoying, you know, creating, and it's been, you know, really a good run for me. I found my niche. I'm just blessed that I got good health. You know, I hurt, you know, every morning when I get up, I can feel them bumps, you know.
Sure.
But the bottom line is, I'm healthy, and that's the main thing. If you stay healthy, stay strong, and be good, man. And you got to keep moving. Don't let them get in your way. Step over them.
That was awesome. I'm going to have you back on when I can. We'll talk stories and we'll set something up, man. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Okay, Dave. Take care, my brother.
All right, so that wraps us up for this week. Thank you again for listening to the Working Fans Podcast. So as always, you can find us on Twitter at FansWorking. Our Facebook page is Working Fans Wrestling Pod. We have email where you can reach out to us and let us know what you think also. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, workingfanswrestling_pod. And then as always, please continue to listen to us on Anchor.fm, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, all your major platforms. If you're following us on Apple Podcasts, which we are also on now, and YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It helps us bring you these podcasts where we get to talk to you and talk with you every week.